slight increase. It is that time of year. Townships surrounding Plain have had an increase in the amount of automobile thefts. So people are getting out of the cars and they're stealing the cars. Plain has had 1 or 2 of those over the last month and a half, but so far, knock on wood, we've been able to keep that outside of the township, just probably due to the active patrol from the people out there on the street. So, any questions for the monthly report?
Yes, sir. Anybody? No, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, nothing on our unfinished business, new business. First item, Route 62 public hearing and meeting notes. I know both Joe and I happened to attend that. What was that? Tuesday, November 29th, over at St. George Orthodox Church. I did make it a point, I believe I scanned everybody a copy of the drawings. Originally, we may have had 8, I think it's up to about 10. Now, there was significant turnout in attendance at the meeting. Like some of, I think maybe the prior meetings, just local jurisdictions, it was pretty much comments only. Even if it was a simple yes or no question, it was referencing this is comments only. I will tell you, a number of the businesses along 62 have a number of concerns, as I'm sure it's probably going to echo some that our collective team has or we have yet to identify. Everything from businesses being asked to relocate, where they've been for 40, 50 plus years, even though they're being offered relocation services, nothing is being offered right back within the township. So obviously looking at our tax base, that's a concern. But first and foremost, whether it was homeowners or it was businesses, our safety services were hands down the number one concern, whether it was ingress and egress, impact on response time, whether it's fire, EMS, to our policing. Went on, record is referencing, hydrants being on the north, but nothing on the south side was my understanding. So how would, sound barriers and all that impact our ability, as well as, who would be bearing the cost, to make sure that proper infrastructure was in, assuming they either shift this north or south, which tends to be about, I think, 6 out of the 10 different options. There were concerns communicated about the fact that there's already going to be a roundabout placed down at Middle Branch, Harrisburg, and 62, which, most of the folks feel that that's the biggest issue of it to begin with. So why don't, there was comments made about, why don't you guys get that phased in, see how that affects back west before you start talking about cul-de-sacing, all these streets. There was concern, just from my point, and I think Joe echoes some of these things too, the traffic burden on our residential streets. We've went back recently, we've asked our residents for increased funding to help just pull our road replacement cycle back into a realistic timetable. And even though this may be just a few streets out of what encapsulates the entire township, the reality is heavier traffic is going to require more frequent replacement or total reconstruction to build that base to something that can handle a longer cycle, and even then that's not guaranteed. So I know I've asked all of you, at least when I pass this along, to come up with thoughts, ideas, concerns, and feedback for this board to push down to ODOT, because they have a comment sheet that they're accepting. I do know we even had one of the businesses owners is looking for us to at least maybe put a bullet point in there. If you can provide us a legal guidance, whether or not how we frame this and provide the business owner what the board's concerns may be, because he's looking to convey this then down to Senator Olslager, House Representative Schuring, to combat some of these potential options, because they're not simply saying, oh, we don't even know which route we're going yet. And he's trying to use this as a mechanism to make the case for, the township. So we're told once they get, really review and assess the comments they've had, the additional ones they'll take, which I believe they're all going to Brian Peck, District 4 Environmental Specialist. I think we have till December 29th for our final submission of comments. We have a chance to really affect what could happen here. I know from my review, I think the first two plans where we're talking, you're not shifting it north, you're not shifting it south. There'd be some, on these side streets that enter into 62, creating raised mounds for doing a right turn in, right turn out, along with potentially removing two signals and going down to one so traffic continue to flow. I mean, that's my initial thoughts. And Chuck, you provided some initial thoughts back from a safety aspect. I just want to discuss this in this public forum so our residents are aware that, this is a legitimate concern that we're working to promote our.
First of all, Mr. Law Director, if we're gonna put up a fight for our residents, which I know we will, do we have a fight? What play do we have? Are we gonna go to a boxing ring and think we have a fight and realize that we've got no chance? What fight do we have? Because if we do, then we owe it to our business owners. First of all, by foremost, emergency first. We gotta make sure that we're covered in safety. Now we're talking residents that might have heavy trucks, more traffic, like Scott just said. Now we gotta worry about the roads. We got business owners that you can only turn right out. How are you gonna turn left? You can't go left. If you're coming from Louisville, you wanna go to Hayden's, you can't turn in there. If you're leaving to go, you gotta turn right and find a way to loop around and go back home. What fight do we have? If we have a fight, then we've gotta put up a fight, because from what I've looked at, there's really not a happy plan there. I do like Scott's. The only thing we worry about, Joe brought that to my attention. If you do live in Louisville, you can't get back home. You gotta go right first, find a way to loop around to get back home. There's no right turn. So where's our fight? If we have a fight, then we have to put up a fight.
Well, to make it a simple answer, it's now, it's at this stage, and it's practical more than it's legal. This isn't your project.
Correct.
It's a bit of a mess, I'll agree with that. But now's the time for input from the township. Now's the time for you to be involved in these meetings as much as you can be. And the more you can argue it from a safety perspective and from a road perspective, the better off you'll be. Aside from that, we don't have a whole lot.
And, and the state's trying to argue this from a safety aspect, given the number of accidents. But the one thing Joe and I had discussed that nobody's just talking in greater detail about is during what time of the year are they happening? What are the weather, the elements that are potentially affecting it? Because looking at how they're looking to adjust this, and I've been guilty. I know there's plenty of notice signs, and I've come around that corner probably a little hotter than I should have. But I mean, to make that just even a little wider, it's not going to alleviate how fast people come around that.
Right.
So let me ask you.
So
Sorry.
there's some things here, we have to get bullet pointed out in a paragraph, and that's why, I mean, outside the board, we have to have this feedback from the department heads so we can get it submitted down there by December 29th.
Yeah.
Do we talk, that's Helen Tomlin, do we talk to the business owners? Because there may be some business owners who say, you know what, really I don't care, we're planning on moving anyways. Should we find out what some of the business owners, what they're thinking? Because this is going to affect how cars are going to get into their business.
I can tell you a number of the business owners were there. They've had their own private meeting, and I'm not speaking on it, for them, but I am speaking based upon facts I heard them convey to me. that being, you know, whether they shift it north or south, you know, if they're cul-de-sac streets, they're talking about creating an access road that runs parallel right with 60, the realigned 62. Well, that's not road frontage necessarily for the business, because if somebody's got to figure a way to get off, then how do they get back on? Is there stuck in a diamond?
Access road.
Yeah.
Not really. They're connections to neighborhood streets.
It's a service road, is what it amounts
But
to.
you still have to have a traffic light to get out somewhere.
Yeah. So,
It is.
can we have by next week, everybody's feedback? I don't expect to conquer all this tonight, but I felt it merited bringing everybody up to speed in a public forum. Because then we can go back, not only provide our comments to the state, we can provide it to the business owners, who then can as well lobby the folks at the state, because unfortunately, some of the business owners who have raised their concerns indicated to me that when they're talking with different project representatives, well, listen, this is coming. Like it or not, it's coming. So it's sort of, you know, getting bullied around by the 8,000-pound gorilla, thinking they have no means. And again, it's not our project, we get that, but we have a chance to positively affect the outcome of this. If the state thumbs their nose at it, I mean, my concern is too, you got this whole roundabout project going on, now you're gonna do another project, so you take one series of problems, and you've entered all new elements, and how do those end up netting out? Because when they talk through the simulations, the state's done simulations on how this should affect traffic just on this little spread. They didn't go down to where everybody else is saying, listen, this Middle Branch, Harrisburg, 62, where you're doing this fancy roundabout and so forth, they haven't figured any of that into the simulation. So, Lord knows the simulation doesn't necessarily always reflect what's accurate and real, but
And that's happening in 2018, the roundabout on Harrisburg, 30th Street.
2018.
Yeah. So basically like 4 years before this one started construction.
Is there a proposed footprint on that? Or are they just
When
don't?
I received our results, as I was leaving the office with the plans, I'll forward it to you guys. And, you look at it. All the plans are basically done.
Joe, is there anything I missed based upon my comments from there? Anything that you,
Worried about our safety, worried about our roads.
We really haven't addressed the pedestrian traffic across US 62 there. I can tell you, our office this year has handled 2 fatal accidents at that location, and still has an open fatal hit schedule that we're working on.
I can kind of answer that a little bit. In meetings up at District 4, they did address that, and they don't have it on any of these plans, but there was talk of putting a pedestrian bridge in at somewhere along 62. It depends on what concept they go with, whether there's going to be businesses there or whatever. So then they talked about making us go underneath the existing bridge along the creek there, and working with Stark Park to build a trail for walkers down there too.
sorry, I'm just showing Trustee, you know. So, I mean, I take your office, Lieutenant Springer, you know, Sheriff Myers, got the same copy of these, any?
Yes, sir, they had a public meeting 4 weeks or so ago. We attended that initial.
As I said, because 2 of the business owners I met with had indicated that, you know, some concerns with, I think, what's at the bottom of the road there, is that Maple?
Maple's the first.
Maple's the first.
Maple, of, you know, anything that would obstruct that, being a concern by the sheriff's office, was what these business owners conveyed. I don't know who their source was or anything like that, but, hey, anything else, just so you guys are aware of what's even being said.
I think a big part from our end will be, you know, whatever businesses are left, they're gonna need deliveries. There's gonna be a lot of truck traffic, and a lot of these concepts, they're gonna have to go through the neighborhoods to get there. no access from 62 itself. So what's that gonna do to not only our roads, but
Our residents, they
our
got
residents that have to live with that in their neighborhoods, you know? And then where they're gonna be calling, and these guys are gonna be
Yeah.
taxed to go over there, you know, so.
And again, the price range on this thing could vary, you know, they're talking, you know, the numbers they threw out were around 30 million, but from some sidebar discussions, they're saying this thing could be absolutely 40 plus. And that was just from after, when I stayed after. So, all of that being said, by end of next week, let's make sure all the department heads get their feedback provided to the entire board, so we can see that, and then go ahead and work with Lisa upon her return to draft the comments on this form, or if need be. Eric, can we lean
Sure,
on you
absolutely.
in that instance? Okay. Is there anything else in regards to Route 62 public hearing meeting notes? Okay. Next item is the Worsler Brothers 2016 payment. Get to that here. You got a motion, be it hereby resolved by the Plain Township Board of Trustees, Stark County, Ohio, to approve authorized payment to Worsler Brothers Landscaping for the November 2016 composting in the amount of $3,000 from Fund 01A261.
I was so moved with business too.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes. That concludes new business. It will take us to our fiscal officer's report, and I will turn that over to Mr. Wolf.
Thank you. First item on the agenda is a request for resolution to authorize the payment of pending warrants in the amount of $270,405.37.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 2 is a request for resolution to authorize the payment of regular payroll in amount not to exceed $250,000.
So moved. Second. Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 3 is a request for resolution to authorize payment for the following medical claims.
I'll move on fiscal 3.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 4 is the financial report.
Anybody has any questions on that? See Tom after the meeting.
Fiscal Officer number 5 is a request for resolution to authorize the following transfers.
I was so moved fiscal officer 5.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 6 is a request for resolution to authorize a refund as follows for overpayments for emergency medical services.
So moved. Sorry about that.
That's-
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 7 is a request for resolution to enter into a contract coverage agreement with the State of Ohio Bureau of Workers' Compensation for the calendar year 2017 and to authorize payment to the State of Ohio Bureau of Workers' Compensation for the calendar year 2017 of $74,424.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 8 is a request for resolution to authorize payment to members of the Plain Township Boards of Zoning Appeals and Zoning Commission for the period of July 1, 2016 through December 31st, 2016 at the rate of $50 per meeting for a total of $900.
I will so move.
Second.
Discussion? Tom, do we track attendance at these meetings? I mean, I
Yes,
think
we
we're
do.
some of, we can get it at the end of the year, a report on
Absolutely.
percentage of meetings.
There's one.
I'll get that to you in email,
All
Tom.
right, no further discussion, roll call, please.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 9 is a request for resolution to request an additional amended certificate of estimated resources from the Stark County Auditor for $86,740.40 and to appropriate these funds as follows.
I will so move.
Second.
Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
And that concludes the Fiscal Officer's report.
Thank you, Mr. Wolf. All right. With respect to the administrator, I do want the record to reflect that Mrs. Campbell is on approved absence. Fire Department Chief Schallenberger.
Yes, item number 1 is our monthly report for your review.
Any questions, guys?
Thank you.
Next.
Item number 2 is resolution by the Plain Township Board of Trustees, Stark County, Ohio, to promote Adam Hayford to the position of firefighter paramedic class 1, effective 7 a.m. on December 18th. Wages and benefits are to be in accordance to the collective bargaining agreement.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes. He was the one we swore in last night, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Item number 3 is a resolution by the Plain Township Board of Trustees, Stark County, Ohio, to authorize the purchase and payment of vinyl flooring and miscellaneous materials for Station 4 from K Carpet per attached quote, not to exceed $5,500.
I'll move on FD3.
Second discussion, roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Item number 4 is resolution by Plain Township Board of Trustees to adopt the attached new job description for the position of Executive Assistant for the Fire Department. For the new hire, we had to rework the job description, add some tasks for her.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Item number 5, resolution by the Plain Township Board of Trustees to authorize reimbursement to Eric Kagi for $400 for healthcare membership according to provision 37 of the collective bargaining agreement to be taken from account 10A15.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Thank you. Concludes fire department.
Thank you, Chief. Takes us to Road Department, Mr. Iacino.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, item number 1 is the monthly report for November. Any questions?
You guys did a good job of getting out today. Actually, after we talked, I had a couple residents that called just harassing me going, "Your roads aren't clean," and then they're like, "Psych, we just come from somewhere else." Like, I threw the BS flag on getting it spoken, so.
Okay. Item number 2 are resolutions from Stark County for the name change portion of Warner Church Road northeast to Wise Mill Circle, and the section of Warner Church Road that will, both of these will be turned over to the township for maintenance from here on out, between Poplar and Saratoga Hills.
This is just pretty much the informational we
Yeah.
don't have.
Um,
I will acknowledge any response
curious, did you ask them, did it come from the farmer wise? And then
Yeah,
they know
yeah.
that that's,
Yeah.
Wow.
I like that.
Yeah, they did some research then.
That's,
So I will send a letter back for your response.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
We already kind of started maintaining it. This last couple, this past weekend. It's pretty good. That's neat. And item number 3 is a resolution by the Board of Trustees to authorize the purchase of B8 liquid de-icer from A-Tech Special Utilities.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Thank you.
Beat heat.
Thank you, Joe. Zoning Department, Mr. Ferraro.
Thank you, sir. The item number 1 is a monthly report.
Where's that picture taken? Is that plane?
No,
That's Alpine, that's a creek.
I was gonna say, like Alpine Creek.
but it is snowy.
That could pass for Alpine Creek.
Okay, then yes. Item number 2 is a resolution for nuisance abatements for items A through D.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
And item number 3 is a resolution for nuisance payments for items A and B.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
That concludes. Anything else?
On that one on Lesh, that truck, I mean,
It's still there.
it's still there. Doesn't he have clothes and all this? Like it's
He lives in it.
like it's his closet, he lives in there, so.
Well, he lives between them and
Will
10.
that truck be removed? And if it does,
It's unregistered.
where do we take that? If it's moved?
Whatever tow company takes it, will store it.
Wherever.
Yep.
Wow. Okay, thanks. He was living out of that,
Yeah.
and this has just been a nightmare over there. Thanks, Tom. Thank you.
And that'll be the end.
Thanks, Tom. Take us to the Parks Department, Mr. Steinberg.
Thank you, gentlemen. Item number 1 is my monthly report.
Pretty quiet month.
Yes, it was. We're going to move at a steady pace.
Actually, there's quite a bit of good news from November for us. Nice work by the team.
And item number 2 is simply a Winterfest recap. And in one word, it was fun. We had a nice atmosphere. We had a lot of departments helping out and providing a lot of services for the kids in the community, and it was really enjoyable. I think we lost some of our clientele to a rain and snowstorm just before the beginning of the event, but all worked out really well.
It was, once again, put together very well. Lights looked, I mean, everything was just pretty first class again. It was really well done. It was fun.
Thank you.
We did have that weather come in just before all that, but I think the families were there, and Santa was pretty amazing.
I think you scroll down, there might be a picture with Santa in there.
You gotta become our new homepage.
It's in there.
I told you I was putting it in.
You put that in there, I'm like, there we are, chief.
Pride of Plain Township right there.
Chief, we made it.
All right, nothing else?
No, sir. That concludes Parks.
Law director, nothing. Takes us to communications, which there is nothing. Which takes us to public speaks. Is there anybody in the audience who wishes to address the board? Okay, now conclude public speaks. Concern the trustees. Oh, Mr. Sperger. Because I apologize, I was a little bit disheveled whenever I come in. I wasn't able to note a couple things in our concerns of trustees. For informational purposes, the SCOG meeting was last week. I'll be not only the township's representative next year to SCOG, but I'll be one of the executive committee members. So I wanted just to pass that along for what it's worth. A lot of the conversation still has to do with the county radio system update that Sheriff Myers leading. They went through the crime lab update, backlog report, chemistry equipment update, firearm fingerprint, criminal opening, and just going through the 2017 budget. So nothing too significant there. Let's see here. I did forward to everybody, I think, a copy of the whole SCAS 2040 long range planning meeting. Due to some challenges, we weren't able to get participation over there today. This thing's outside our control, but if somebody's able to maybe attend that on Thursday, because I know Joe's got some commitments.
I'm going to try to contact Jeff tomorrow and see if he can send us,
That information. So we got that. Reminder, the Stark County Township Association meeting is Thursday at Skyland Pines. Dominion East Ohio is the sponsor, and the Air Bryant Corporation will be providing the program over there. Let's see here. Bear with me, guys. I had emailed you guys on the whole Senate Bill 235. This was something that the OTA sent us for our updates, and in short, initially as proposed was a bad deal for the townships when it come to local controls, but as well how it was going to potentially affect already existing tax agreements such as TIFs, CRAs, enterprise zones, and ultimately what come last week, it was about a week after I had left messages for both Representative Schuring and Senator Olslager. Senator Olslager called me back, I think it was the tail end of last week, said that they passed Senate Bill 235, but there were a number of amendments. So that 171-page document that I think I sent to you two, if you need a good sleeper document, that's it. But talking with the OTA, they were comfortable with the legislation as it passed after attaching the riders and so forth to, essentially in that very long document, there's a cap on the window in which essentially these developments can ride out, no impact from a tax effect. So essentially on the TIFs, the CRAs, the enterprise zones, on that improved value, when it started out, it was just going to be, hey, until it's occupied, the local government's not going to recognize any of that increased value. Well, as part of a number of the amendments that went into it, it's been capped, I believe, at 6 years, is what Senator Olslager and his assistants, Eric and Vincent, had advised me of. So we'll be learning some more on that, but I will say, just for the sake of, outside of Senate Bill 235, Olslager said he didn't hear from a single person in Stark County outside of myself. And I told him I was talking on our behalf. So I want to make sure that's clear. So it really is important that, is the amendment come in, and I'll press it with the County Township Association as well. It's important, that we reach out to these folks on occasion. And like I told Scott, I said, you don't hear from me necessarily on a regular basis unless it's something that's truly urgent and important to us. So I just want to stress the fact of how important, even a quick call, even if we're reading the OTA snippets on what our concerns are. So it's passed. think that was the last update I had under concerns of trustees. Anything by Mr. Lino or Mr. Sabon?
Thank you.
Include concerns of trustees, concerns of the fiscal officer.
No concerns.
Okay, it does take us to the approval of the minutes for November 22nd, 2016, for which I would so move.
Second.
Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes. We do have a need for executive session, so be it hereby resolved by the Plain Township Board of Trustees, Stark County, Ohio, to adjourn to executive session. It's 6:40 PM from this regular meeting, December 13th, 2016, is authorized under Ohio Revised Code 121.22G for the purpose and consideration of 1A, appointment of a public employer official, 1B, appointment of a public employer official, 1C, dismissal of a public employer official, 1D, discipline of a public employer official, E, promotion or demotion of a public employer official, F, compensation of a public employer official, 3, a conference with the law director or other retained counsel concerning pending or imminent court action, 4, preparing for, conducting, or reviewing negotiations or bargaining sessions with public employees.
Second.
Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.